It is confirmed that we are recording. I can sort of call the meeting to order, though it's without a quorum. First up, I'd like to introduce Amy from Marshfield, Amy Monahan, she's our new representative from Marshfield. Would you, anything to say, Amy, or? Don't be shy.
Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Well, I can say that this has so far been a little overwhelming just reading all of this stuff. So, I'm looking forward to learning and, hoping to be able to participate as time goes on once I, really get an understanding of all of this.
It can be a little overwhelming, when you first start. I know I was. The biggest thing you will be worried about, and do not hesitate at all to yell and scream when we start using acronyms that you don't have a standpoint. Because
Well,
most of us don't anyways.
Yeah, well, I'm the town treasurer for the town of Cabot, so I'm familiar with some of the acronyms.
Okay, that is super. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
You'll be fine, Amy. None of us are rocket scientists, but we
Good.
That's right.
nevertheless.
None of us know all the acronyms either.
We just pretend we do.
Yeah, that's
Good,
right.
perfect.
That's exactly right.
I know what WTF means. That's about it.
Are there any adjustments?
OL, John.
Yeah. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Well, no, we haven't got a quorum, probably holds off on roll call.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
No, we've done introductions. I think it's important that we got,
Okay,
we'll do roll call when Mike gets in again,
yeah.
just to verify quorum. Okay.
If we get.
With
if we
Amy,
get-
doesn't that make 12?
Yeah,
No, Dawn and Alice are from the same town.
Got it.
We could have one of them move.
I did that once already.
Oh, okay. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I think just that we'll be focusing on the non-actionable descriptions, and then we can move into actions when we have a quorum.
Yep.
No problem.
Yep. Okay, public comment. I see no one from the public here in the office. I see no one from the public online. So we can skip over public comment. Committee appointments. No, that one's totally an action.
Yeah.
Item. Let's get into bylaw update.
Sure. The bylaws update is sort of the conclusion of our work toward updating our meeting recording and retention policy. It's a multi-step process. The first step was the executive committee reviewing, commenting on the updates, and then moving to include this item on the agenda for the full Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners now has the opportunity to comment, provide input to staff, and will ultimately act to include the amendment for the next Board of Commissioners meeting in December. At which point we will take final vote, and we will need a 60% vote to pass the amendment to the bylaws. We chose to put this information into the bylaws because that's where we had treated minutes in the past, so it seemed most appropriate to keep minutes and recordings together. First step, it clearly underlines under subsection 310 of chapter 1 of Vermont State VSA that what is a non-advisory public body and what is an advisory public body. Just for the benefit of the commissioners, the non-advisory public body are the decision makers, i.e. the Board of Commissioners and the executive committee. We already had language in there that identified all other standing committees as advisory to the Board of Commissioners. So we felt that was acceptable to cover and identify our advisory committees. There's one grammatical or typo that was fixed under section 608. It was previously written as Article 608. So that's a small correction. And then we're adding minutes, public records, and digital recordings to the title. Before we get into the meat of the request, which is on page 8 of your packet, page 14 of the bylaws, stating that all public bodies of the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission and the CVRPC shall record all meetings of the public body. All public bodies of the CVRPC, except advisory bodies, shall post a copy of the recordings in a designated electronic location for a minimum of 30 days following the posting of the official minutes for the meeting in accordance with 1 VSA subsection 312(6). CVRPC shall retain all recordings in accordance with the CVRPC records retention policy.
Mike is.
Okay. So there, and then the records retention policy holds that we will maintain all recordings for 3 years. But only the executive committee and the Board of Commissioners meetings will be posted to the website. All other recordings will be available upon request. As it's currently written.
Shall we take the roll?
So deletions, I know I requested twice that there be notice provided of deletions of recordings. If they're gonna be totally, basically destroyed, the digital form where we never have access again to them. That there'd be a 30-day notice.
Yeah, so that would be it. We put that into the record retention policy, which currently states then delete.
They're held for 3 years and you would just simply need to request from staff. If they weren't on the website.
Right, no, but the question is, what deleting, after the 3-year period, every time we delete
Oh, I
meetings, we
see.
should post somewhere that the following meeting recordings would be deleted. And I think we can do that in the records retention policy. So to show that that has been done, I would say before final vote, we demonstrate that the records retention policy has been updated to include that language. John, would that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was already gonna be in there. Thank you. The other thing is, and because you pointed out that only 2 sets of video recordings will be posted, the executive committee and the full commission body. I would ask that there be a sidebar on the website in like red font saying videos retained for the following committees will be from these dates will be whatever deleted. You know, if we keep them for 3 years, doesn't mean they all have to go in 3 years. You could like do a block. You could say, okay, the project review committee meetings recordings from 2022 are going to be deleted as of this date. Anybody who wants to download should do it ASAP or contact staff. And then we have a heads up. And so when I go to the website, I'll be like, oh, I've been meaning to get that. And I can download that.
Yeah.
And it needs to be in a downloadable form on the website, or staff need to have access to that. That's all. It's simple. We're not caught unawares.
Yeah, that's where my mind went to, John, that we do batch deletion. So it might be, might only be sending out these notices twice a year, like, hey, this is what's the next round. Yeah, I think that's low overhead. We can do that.
Great.
Okay, we can go
Thank
back,
you.
and make this an official meeting. Mike has joined us from Montpelier. So I will need a roll call.
Certainly. Berry City.
Present, Jenna Shatney.
Thank you. And perfect, Janet. And if everyone else could state their name as we go down the roll call, that would be appreciated. Berrytown. Berlin,
Robert Warnick here.
Cabot, Callis,
John Brabant, representing Town of Callis.
Duxbury, East Montpelier, Facein, Marshfield.
Amy Monahan, representing Marshfield.
Thank you, Amy. Middlesex,
Ron Krause here.
Montpelier,
Mike Miller here.
Moortown, Northfield,
Real Deleggy for Northfield.
Orange,
Lee Catania for Orange.
Plainfield, Roxbury,
Jerry D'Amico here.
Waitsfield,
Alice Peel, Waitsfield,
Warren, Washington,
Peter Carby, Washington.
Waterbury,
Doug Greason for Waterbury.
Williamstown, Woodbury, Worcester. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We have a
Chairman,
quorum.
you have a quorum.
Excellent.
John LaHaye is also here from Waitsfield.
And
That's true.
may
Yeah.
the record show.
Okay, so we'll go back to committee appointments.
Sure.
And I believe we have one committee one resignation and one appointment due, if I am correct. Lee Catania has been on the Brownsfields committee and has agreed to step down so that myself, Peter Carby, could take his place. And so I guess where Lee is going to resign, is that correct, Lee?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we'll accept nominations from the floor for the committee position. And I'm just letting everybody know I'm available.
So with your appointment, Peter, we'll have a quorum on that committee?
Well, I hope we will. I hope we will. We've had some trouble. See, the way it works, we have what, 4 commissioners? I'm trying to think.
We have five. I can speak to it as the chair of the
Yeah,
Brownfield.
Yeah,
We have
please.
enough committee members, but we don't have enough of the other development type people that are expected to be on Brownfields. So we're getting
And they're
there.
voting members.
Yes.
Oh. So who's
So we-
missing? Who do we lack, Janet? Madam Chair?
I can't speak to it off the top of my head, but we were lacking in a real estate advisory capacity. So Eli and I have been trying to fill that. We do have another appointment next week, so hopefully
And I
we'll
think it
be
was
able to
Finance.
have enough people.
Yeah, finance is another one, if I'm not incorrect, Janet. Also, for the last several months, we haven't had the representative from Central Vermont Economic Opportunity, not Opportunity. Central Vermont,
Development Corps.
yeah, Development Corps. But from what I understand, in Eli's note, we should have a representative this time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna help us. There's still a couple of vacancies out there. But we're doing the best we can.
So Peter, do you
accept
need to be
nomination.
nominated?
I certainly do.
I'll nominate Peter Carby.
Oh, and I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations and instruct the chair to cast one ballot for Peter Carby. Thank you.
Congratulations, Peter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was on the committee in the past and I gave up my slot this past year so that Don LaHaye, who had expressed some interest, could take that slot. And Then I ended up going to Chicago for the Brownsfields Convention and went, I really probably shouldn't have stepped down, so. Lee was gracious enough to turn around and say he'd be happy to have one less committee assignment, so.
Do you want to make another stab at regional plan if there's any volunteers for the regional plan?
Oh, that's right. We still have one opening for the regional plan. And we have not had a whole lot of luck getting that filled, and that just makes it harder for the other members. One, to make quorum, and also just for another set of opinions. So if there's anyone here, or if you know of any other member who might very well be any other commissioner that would be willing to join the regional plan committee, it's a critical committee. I think Alice will agree.
Oh, I think it's the most important committee, and our regional plan is the most important document that the full board and all of CVRPC needs and should use to be guiding its mission and its goals and its voting. And I'm a really nice chairperson.
Yes, you're appealing. Well, if, keep it in mind, folks, and hammer on people if you can. Hearing no nominations on that, we'll move on to the next item, which now, okay, we went through some discussion on the bylaws update. There is an action that's called for on that. Are we finished with the discussion or not? I don't have the action in front of me.
The action would be to move to place the final proposed amendments to the CVRPC bylaws dated April 11th, 2023 on the next meeting agenda of the CVRPC Board of Commissioners. I would only add recognizing the commissioners expressed request for an update to the records retention policy to identify how and where notice of records deletion would be noticed prior.
For
do we,
a 30-day notice, Christian?
30-day notice.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, does that have to be included in the bylaws update, or is that simply to be done in the
Because that's executive committee, that can be done in the interim, and I think commissioners who have concerns about that would want to see that those updates have been made by the next Board of Commissioners meetings. But I feel we could run those two things in parallel.
I was thinking more in parallel, rather than it having to be in the motion for the bylaws update, because that's records retention and what we have in front, but however it wants to be handled. John, would you like to make a motion on this?
Yeah, I'll move that with the understanding that Christian presented. Thank you.
I'll second
Is
it.
there a second?
I'll
Okay,
second
Lee
it.
Catania seconds. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing no opposition, any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Project compatibility letter and policy discussion.
All right, I will lead this.
Please do.
So there's two things under this agenda item. One, we have a letter requested by the municipality of Waitsfield for an application for transportation alternatives, the VTrans Transportation Alternatives Program funding. This is for a section of Mad River Path in and around the Irisville neighborhood. Additionally, you'll see two other letters included that were much smaller in nature, but I wanted to give them to you to help show the variety of projects and the kind of projects that staff feels comfortable reviewing internally versus a project that by our own barometer or by staff's barometer, we've brought forth to the Board of Commissioners as we figure out these guidelines. So in terms of actions tonight, on the letter for Waitsfield, I'm not asking for any actions. There could be an action. You have that authority. We have it noted on the agenda that there could be an action. But I think that as long as staff is getting clear comments from the Board of Commissioners on how to represent the board, the Regional Planning Commission, the letter can still be submitted on behalf of staff and based on staff's compatibility review. In reviewing the particular project, why don't I walk through some of the items that caught our eye as we were reviewing these three different projects and how they differ. With the PATH project, generally speaking, our plan supports alternative modes of transportation, as in or active modes of transportation, as they're most often called now, as opposed to automotive transportation. It's supported under our transportation goals and to less direct degree under our economic goals. However, the proposed project, really proposed concept we're looking at this point with the rec trail also falls within a flood hazard area. It includes a bridge over the Mill Brook in the town of Waitsfield. And because the designs are only at a conceptual level right now, we have basically a line on a map where there's enough VTrans right-of-way to host this path, but no information about the design, the abutments to the bridges or anything else. We are again working from a somewhat vague starting point. But we do know that it falls within the flood hazard area and the river corridor. And per our current regional plan, we have a goal stating that we will avoid or limit development and investment in identified flood hazard areas. This doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily have a major negative impact in those areas, but it certainly does mean we don't know at this time how great an impact that will be and how the designs may conceive options for mitigating those mitigate those impacts. So we tried to lay the facts on the table and recognize that this is a project that's in design, and that we will continue to comment on it as those designs advance. In this case, we know the project would see certainly environmental permitting through A&R and maybe other right-of-way permitting through VTrans as well. And the other two projects, while I'm talking, I might as well go through them as well. The other two projects, one is Montpelier, which was going after the clean water portion of this grant, same grant, but it also covers transportation and stormwater. Or stormwater as it relates to transportation. This is an area that already has stormwater line in the ground, but this would be appropriately sizing those storm lines to handle current flows. The third one is the town of Orange, which I'm not sure actually went into application. We got this request last Thursday. The applications were due on Friday. This would support the rebuilding of their salt shed, which aims at reducing the amount of salt leaching into rivers and groundwater surfaces. So A, it's an existing structure. B, there's little we could find that could potentially be a negative impact at this point in the process. Again, in both cases, their engineering is, well, I guess in the Montpelier case, engineering is maybe a little more advanced. But Orange at least is also a design build application as well. So at this time, I'd love to get feedback. Are we on the right track with these letters? Thinking mainly of the Waitsfield letter. You know, are staff picking the right ones to go forward that we wouldn't want to see commission feedback in the future.
Jerry,
Yeah, a couple of nitpicky things on the letter to Scott Robinson, Program Manager. He works for V-Trans, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, we should address it to V-Trans.
Okay.
And
Program.
and usually we include the reference, Waitsfield Mad River Path.
Okay.
Well, other than that, I didn't have any objections. I assume that was just somebody passed over those, and just make sure we include those when it goes out.
well, this is Peter, and I'm a little bit torn in that, as Christian had stated, you know, for alternative transportation, we're all in favor of it. But we run into the problem with the wetlands. And it seems difficult for me to write that letter of compatibility when there's very, very glaring or possibly glaring exception to our regional plan. And I think that's why staff was a little concerned or confused or whatever type of thing, or needed some guidance. And has this gone before the project review committee?
No, this has not. As we'll talk about in the next section of this agenda item, staff are not recommending these go in front of the project review committee at this time because it doesn't fall under their purview as we've defined them in our bylaws. They really are an entity designed to deal with our legislative or regulatory project review. So that's Act 250, 248, 248A. The feeling was Board of Commissioners can hear about these projects and it would fit well in. And the whole board would get exposure to it, and it may help guide future future direction on how we review these projects.
Any other, I see comments, yes. Alice?
okay, I'm gonna make probably a plethora of comments here. And I want to precede this by saying, I feel as though I'm in a very tough position here because I represent Waitsfield and I want to be supportive. I think it's a good part of my role as their rep from CVRPC to move forward the goals and things that come up in the town of Waitsfield and are promoted by the Waitsfield Select Board. On the other hand, being known around town as Wetlands Alice, I'm going to make a couple of concerns that I have about the appropriateness of this path where they're proposing it would be. What I'd like to read to you first is I directly went to Stacy Pomeroy, who is river scientist and the head of the River Corridor Program here in the state for A&R and DEC. And I sent the proposed sketch, which is not really a full mapping or a fully determined mapping, but it's a proposed sketch of a concept of this is what the representatives of the MedPath organization here in Waitsfield wants to do. And I sent it to her for her opinion. Good morning, Alice. I've had a chance to review the plan. I see the plan notes a 30, pardon me, my eyes are going, 30-foot bridge. I've copied our river management engineer, Rachel Czar, and she can speak to any potential bridge permitting needs this project may have. From a river dynamics side of things, it would be a difficult location for a new bridge given the sediment deposition from the current bridge and the backwater from the Mad River. In some locations, the proposed plan is closer to the river than existing infrastructure, the road. If the path is a guest of the river, meaning it can be moved, if the river begins to erode roads into it, then that would be a path type that might work in the corridor. If the path is required to be protected over time through hard armoring of the river to prevent erosion of the path, then that would be a plan type that would not be appropriate within the river corridor. So what she's saying is, if there's flexibility within the river corridor definition and the amount of right-of-way from Route 100, that's so that if the river corridor moves, the path is flexible and can move out again from the river corridor. That's better. But if the trail is it's kind of hard engineered to be right there, and there would be some means to try and prevent the river corridor from expanding or moving, that would not be something that would pass muster with the river corridor regulations. I do know that there's a parcel that this path would go through, the Austin parcel, which is at Millbrook there, that does flood, regularly floods. There are three or four floodplain reconnection projects that were identified in our local hazard mitigation plan that are right in the middle of this path that would proceed down Route 100 to LaRue Farm. And Peter's correct. There's a number of wetlands and wetland permits that would be needed. The overriding thing here, again, is we have a request to CVRPC in a very rushed manner to write a letter of approval or compatibility in support of this project. This was, in fact, to the select board, this has also been a rush job on getting the grant application written. The person who made the, Misha Golfman, the director of the Mad Path, brought this proposal for the town to agree to this grant and to go ahead and approve him to make the application, was done in a very rushed manner. There was about 2 weeks' time from when this had to be done and submitted last Friday, November 7th. The select board made a very quick decision to go ahead and submit this application with their own letter. The vote on the select board was 4-1. It was not a unanimous vote. So then it comes here to CVRPC for a hurry up, we need this letter. And we're right back into the thing that issue that we've been talking about, which is having to look at, not have full information, being asked to make a very rushed decision on a project that the application we have not even seen. The application went out Friday, November 7th at 5 p.m. and copies of the application were sent to Christian, to the select board, Waitsfield Select Board chairperson, and to the Waitsfield Town Administrator. I was at the this Monday Select Board meeting, and the topic of this grant did not come up at all, nor was there any discussion of the application. So it's a rush job in Waitsfield and Select Board. It's another rush job for us here. So although I represent Waitsfield, I really feel like I cannot go forward with anything I don't know everything about. And the last thing I want to say is that there was a number of years ago a proposal for this bridge. And at that time, it was abandoned and another path was chosen to try to get across Route 100 and Millbrook in another way. That project failed also. So that's my spiel. It's another
Thank you,
job.
Alice.
Yeah.
Mike Miller from Montpelier.
Yeah, I just want to make just a quick, more general comment on getting back to Christian's question on whether we feel they're doing kind of an appropriate job. And this is irregardless of our letter of support we needed for our small grant that we were looking for. I thought these were very good, and certainly in the way they parsed these out. And I think we need to respect our staff. We've got really good staff. I want to compliment them. They do a great job, and we can leave important things to them to be able to go through and evaluate. And I think they did a good job of looking at the ones that were clearly in conformance and signing those, and finding ones that they did not find in clear conformance and taking that to either a project review or the full board, whoever is appropriate for the next level of review. And I think as long as these letters of support get circulated at the next meeting, so everybody's aware, unless we're finding that the commission is not doing a good job or that staff are not doing a good job of evaluating these letters of support, as long as they continue to do a great job, I would let them continue to do things in the same manner that they have. I think as a staff person for a city, it's very similar. We get letters of support. Down Street will want to do a housing project. We get a number of these, and I have to make these evaluations. I don't put them on planning commissions. I go through, evaluate them, write a letter of support. If it meets it, send it to the commission if I have issues or questions. And I think we can trust our staff here as well to go and make those good decisions. So I just wanted to make that comment. Voting whether or not with the Waitsfield one, I think that's a separate question. I think if we're having two separate conversations, one is should we approve or not approve Waitsfield, and the other one is do we think staff did a good job of evaluating these? I'm going to say on the latter, yes, I think they did a good job of evaluating these and parsing them out.
Thank you, Mike. John Brayback?
Yep. Well, I appreciate Mike's comments and Alice's comments. But reading Christian's overview supporting the approval of the grant request to be filed by the town of Waitsfield, which I understand our approval is a requirement. So I think there's a value to our approval, otherwise it wouldn't require it. And we have a policy that Christian pointed us to, saying, illustrating that the project review committee on lesser scaled projects do not require project review committee review or approval or recommendation, but rather the full commission should instead be approving the we should be approving the grant application requests at the commission level. So looking at Christian's overview, I would not have known there were wetland implications, but for the chair's statement of concern regarding wetland impacts or potential wetland impacts. Why is that? because there's no application for me to review. There's no letter of support from the select board for me to review as to the basis or bases. So what is the value? I keep coming back to this. We need to get our act together as commissioners. What is the value of us meeting every month? Is it to just rubber stamp stuff through that we have no idea what we're approving, that we have not read, that we don't even have the ability to read? I went through the whole packet twice. It doesn't exist. There's no application. There's no support documentation. There's actually a vague response from Christian that says we should support this despite concerns, general language, which then cues up, okay, I should probably take a look at this. There's nothing here. So it could be the best application in the world, but if I can't see it, if I can't review it, and I'm going to vote on something without any knowledge whatsoever, direct knowledge or ability to critique, you don't need my vote. And I'm not going to vote to support this. I have no idea what I'm voting on. I have no idea what the project says. And I think it's unfortunate because maybe I would have voted for it tonight had everything been in the packet and I had advance notice of this. Christian, when did you get the application? I know you're getting these things on short notice and there's a lot of pressure on you. I appreciate that.
It is true. We don't have all the facts going in. You've certainly identified why this issue is, why we're talking about it. It's a tough one to navigate. We received the application on Friday when it was submitted to VTrans. Before that, we had a narrative, and we have the report we can reference, but there is not a lot there besides this sort of possible alignment. They went through a corridor study, what they're calling it. It's not to the level of a scoping. It's below a scoping study for those who are familiar with the VTrans scoping studies. Yeah, so yeah, obviously the packet went out on Thursday. We didn't see anything until Friday. There's just not a lot to work with when you look at these applications coming in.
Yeah, I value my role here, and I'm going to keep it as important as I think it should be. And it's nothing to do with the staff. I think the staff, I say it over and over again, do a wonderful job. This is not a critique of staff. It's not even a critique of the town of Waitsfield. Sometimes these things come in, you're jamming it together, as Kristen said, volunteer effort. I appreciate that. And I expect, I'm going to say this, and then next week my town's going to do the same thing. My vote is due to a lack of information, not to a lack of timeliness. Timeliness on behalf of the town. There's nothing in my packet for me to scrutinize, for me to reach my own objective opinion. So I'm going to vote against this for those reasons only. I have no idea what this thing is. And that's the number one reason I'm voting no. And I'm really sorry, Alice, and sorry to your select board, but I cannot do that. And if my town did the same thing, I would stand up and say, despite my select board's letter of support, I would have no problem with you voting against it because you don't have anything in front of you. And I'd get fired, but that's okay.
Thank you, John. Doug Greason?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything John just said. The staff did a great job on responding to the issues around the Montpelier and Orange request. They were dealt with at the staff level. They did a good job. This problem is this application is more complicated. This issue is more complicated. And it seems to me it's something that should go through the project review committee before it even gets to the board. I'm uncomfortable moving in a hurry without information. Again, I could probably support this with more information, but I don't feel as though I can vote for it now.
Thank you, Doug. Lee Catania?
Yes, I got a problem not with what we're doing, but a problem with what the grantors are doing to the grantees. The grants should not be for the entire activity, where you're getting a grant to plan and build and everything else that we have to comment on. It should be that the grant should be in stages where you complete your feasibility or your, shall we say, your scoping studies. And at the end of that, you would then apply for the rest of the grant. I can't see us. I had sent an email to Christian with a suggestion, and I'll repeat it now, that we should be just saying on these that, yes, doing a study to see if this is feasible or not would not be inconsistent with the regional plan. But before any monies are spent on the preparation of, and I'm talking about, these are monies that are tax monies, that are public monies, before any of those are spent on the preparation of final plans or any construction on the site whatsoever, would have to come back to get another letter as to whether or not it was compatible with the plan. I can't see us doing it on a wholesale basis like this, where we don't even know what they're doing. It just doesn't make sense. And we either structure it that they have to come back before they go further, and that they shouldn't be spending any money for final plans or clearing right away or anything like that before we have a chance to look at it again. Other than that, if we say, oh, okay, they're going to start this, they're going to do their studies, and then somebody's going to say, well, let's chop down the trees. We can get a clearing, and it keeps building up and building up till you have all this public money invested in a project, that the project, and I'm not talking specifically this project, I'm talking about any big project that comes in, where that project then has money that has been invested in it, and then we're turning around saying, well, wait a minute, that's not compatible with the regional plan, then we're going to look foolish. We're in a tough situation here, and I think we got to devise a way to get out of it other than what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Royal, I believe?
Yeah, thank you. And I agree with everything that's been said up to this point, but 2 points I want to make. One is I really respect Alice's statements regarding a project that's emanating from her own town, that she honorably presented her position. I have great respect for that. But secondly, and we talked about this at the executive committee as well, my position is that everybody's right in what they're saying here. And that's exactly the point. This coming to the commission, the full body of the commission tonight, gives us the opportunity to say, look, at the point of completeness that we can really consider this. So my position is, I'm saying no. Give me something that is complete. This makes a statement on the part of the commission that we're not going to accept incomplete application or requests for compatibility letters on applications that we can't make it a true assessment of. That's all I have.
Thank you, Royal. Alice and then Doug?
Yeah, I'm back again. Couple other points I want to make here is that at the Monday night select board meeting where this grant, what the town was entering into, was not discussed at all. And I was at the select board meeting for another reason. But I had mentioned in the public comment period that I saw a problem in the minutes in the way that this grant was worded and presented. by the Mad River Path representative. It called this a bike and ped grant. And I said, this isn't, I just want the select board to know that this is not the bike and ped program. Those monies, those applications closed in September, and those awards were already given out. Now, they're familiar with the bike and ped grant because that was the first one they got, which was this very high level study, which does not talk about any shovel-ready project or engineered project. I described that this was a TAP program, that it was different, and they should just familiarize themselves with the requirements of the TAP program, Transportation Alternatives. And they discussed that. There was confusion on the select board to getting to know exactly what program they were entering into. They made a quick decision to put the town on the hook for $150,000 match on this grant. As a taxpayer, that kind of shook me. And bottom line is what we're talking about here is this is going to be built in the floodplain. This is a floodplain that they're trying to build through. And I know, talking to Keith Fritchie from A&R while we were discussing the Winooski Tactical Basin Plan, that looking at where they're trying to build is going to require some real boots on the ground wetland permitting. That's what I wanted to say. They're also beginning to risk any participation or allowance in the NFIP program, the National Flood Insurance Program, the building in the floodplain. If we still have a National Flood Insurance Program and FEMA and all that, but I just keep saying we're a blue state. We'll have to wait and see. But I did want to add that, and it really does fall into what we've been talking about. Pushing back on rushed requests too. So
Thank you, Alex.
you're welcome.
Christian, did you have anything?
A little, yeah, just to follow up, I think this has all been really helpful and I appreciate the response. Certainly we as staff, our first goal is to support our municipalities and work for them. So hearing you as a group come together, it's the kind of direction we need to fulfill your work. What I'm hearing is that if you choose, well, I guess it would probably be worth having a motion, but a motion to determine that the Board of Commissioners does not have enough info to determine compatibility. And therefore we don't submit a letter of compatibility. Does that sound right?
I think very honestly, my own feeling on it is, it's more the policy discussion than this individual thing. And I think John worded it very well, Doug, Royal, and everybody else, that I think what we need to do, and in conjunction with staff, is to figure out how we're going to handle these in the future.
Well, yeah, I think the biggest part is, as representatives of, well, at least 12 of our municipalities, making sure your home communities understand, especially with big grant applications, we'll be thinking about what they are, where they're headed, and how they fit with our regional plan. And the earlier that you can come in, explain the project, give us details, the more likely the commission will be able to have it.
If the Board of Commissioners or CVRPC does not does not give a letter of compatibility, does that kill the grant? Does that just take away points?
Yep, it's one one scoring category amongst many.
Okay. So I
Mr. Chair, if I
think
keep my hand up,
yes, John.
I just want a point of clarification. Had I had the application in front of me, available to me over the weekend, I could have possibly reached a conclusion based on the application. My vote is not based on the application because I haven't seen it. And I think that's really important. And I know we send the packets out on Thursday, but you know, I think updates to the packet and maybe a notice to commissioners that the packet's been updated as of this date may have resulted in, at least for me, a different outcome. I just don't have any information. And maybe the way it's the proposal structured, there's room to mitigate the wetlands or avoid the wetlands, that it's still in flux, but I have no information. And I just think in the future, I don't think, I understand exactly what Christian's saying, and I agree 110% that municipalities are going to get this stuff to us on short notice. It's just the way of the world, and it's probably going to be increasingly that way. And we need to be flexible to the extent we can, but we still have to be able to fulfill our responsibilities. And again, we need the documents. Thank you.
That was more along the lines of what I was trying to say in my own strange way, is that as a policy of the CVRPC, I think is what we should be looking at. Policies and procedures on how to handle these particular grant applications and compatibility letters. I think it's a longer term discussion than just Waitsfields tonight or Oranges or Montpeliers. I personally have no problem at all with staff issuing those letters of compatibility on the minor projects in Montpelier and there, but as I said, without, I would even actually would have liked to have seen, you know, what the application involved on those. I know it's upsizing in Montpelier, stormwater, I'm assuming stormwater. Yeah.
Stormwater.
Stormwater things and whatever type of thing, but you know, are we going to from 8-inch to 20-inch or to 48-inch? Yeah, to me, I would have liked that information, but I trust staff reviewed that and felt it was fine. But I do agree that, you know, especially when we run into conflicts with the regional plan, then, you know, I just can't see if we've got the conflict and they haven't given us the information that says, well, how can we mitigate that conflict? Then I see no path forward for a letter of compatibility. Alice.
Yeah, just very quickly, let me emphasize that trying to represent Waitsfield well and informing myself and what information I could bring to the board of directors and CVRPC staff. I've dug as much as I could. It was apparent to me that the select board has not even seen the application. It has not been distributed to the select board, or there would have been conversation on it at the select board meeting. And there was one other point I was going to make. I don't know, but yeah, this thing is rushed. Oh, this grant would be the town of Waitsfield is the applicant and the owner of this grant. The grant writers and the ones wanting this never contacted CVRPC until they wanted this letter. And they have not identified a program manager, which was a question that was asked at the select board meeting, which I couldn't answer because I hadn't seen the application. But also the town did not write this grant. It was written by a MadPath staff person who is one of their AmeriCorps volunteers.
Thank you, Alice. So I guess the action you're looking for, Christian, is to whether or not to issue these three or
The
one to
Waitsfield.
three.
The Waitsfield one, we're really looking around the Waitsfield one,
Okay.
staff did administrative, you could certainly overturn staff's decision and we would quickly rescind those. If there's any, if there are
No,
strong concerns on the other ones.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is I don't want to have to go through this every single month.
Yeah,
With various, rush jobs, type of thing. So, I would like staff to come up with something to bring to the board. Say, this is what we should be doing. And if it's this, that, or the other type of thing. But I will accept a motion to issue a letter of compatibility to the town of Waitsfield for their project.
I'll make that motion.
Jerry makes the motion. Is it seconded?
I'll second that.
And John seconds it. Is there further discussion on the Waitsfield
could I just,
grant application?
could I just hear
Yes,
the
ma'am.
motion again? I got distracted.
The motion is to accept or to issue a project compatibility letter. That is in the positive. You understand, Alice?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Is there further discussion on issuing this letter of compatibility? I think we pretty well hashed it out, so I will call the vote. All those in favor of this issuing the letter of compatibility to the town of Waitsfield will indicate by saying aye. I hear none. Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Opposed.
Aye.
Nay.
I hear a lot
Okay.
of opposition. Are there any abstentions?
I'm gonna abstain. It's Roxbury.
Jerry abstains. Okay, in that case, we'll need a roll call.
Do that, all right, Janet,
Nay.
Cities.
you want me to go back down?
Yeah.
Janet Shatney, Berry City, nay. Robert Warnick, Berlin.
Abstain.
John Brabant, Callis.
Nay.
Amy Monahan, Marshfield.
Nay.
Ron Crowth, Middlesex.
Nay.
Mike Miller, Montpelier.
No.
Royal Deleggy, Northfield.
Nay.
Was that a nay?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. Lee Catania, Orange.
No,
Jerry D'Amico,
Abstain.
Roxbury.
Abstain.
Alice Peel, Waitsfield.
I'm gonna change my vote. I'm gonna abstain.
Excellent. Peter Carby, Washington.
No.
Doug Greason, Waitsfield.
No.
Waterbury.
The motion does not pass. All right, well, I can roll right into the next part of the
Okay.
agenda item. So we don't have to make a motion on this next one, I suppose, given the feedback we got. I think staff could probably better integrate the proposed policy with some of the comments we heard tonight. I'll read through the proposed guidelines that staff pulled together for project review or for application letters. All planning and design work, staff would assess internally and make an administrative draft the letter administratively. I'll get to that at the end. On projects for implementation, that is construction. So that could be design construction or just construction. If the project falls within one of the interim Act 250 exemption areas, that is those areas that were defined under statute and are active through January 1st, 2027. which only affects only exempts housing projects from the Act 250 process. So therefore, I should take a step back. One overarching assumption staff made is if a project is going to come through Act 250, if it's a project that clearly the RPC is going to be a party to at a later stage in permitting, there's more of an ability for staff to take on that capacity internally because we know we have that backstop. Based on what I heard tonight, I think that doesn't necessarily meet the full intent of this commission's goals, but that I just want to be transparent and you can comment on that. So within those interim Act 250 exemption areas, any housing project over 10 acres, this is a 10-acre threshold because only municipalities with zoning and bylaws qualify for the exemption. So municipalities without those zoning and bylaws in place will not have an exemption area. This goes back to our conversation we had, a conversation we had.
Christian, I think it's zoning and subdivision regs. Zoning is our bylaws.
You're correct. Zoning and
You need to have
subdivision.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, I messed that up in the notes too.
Okay.
Zoning and subdivision. Right, so I don't address those municipalities without zoning and subdivision bylaws because they wouldn't be touched. They're not included in the exemption areas. Then looking further down the road, those areas that will fall into a tier 1 eligible area and therefore could receive some exemptions from Act 250 for housing. It's 10 acres again, because if you don't have zoning and subdivision, you can't have a tier 1B or tier 1A exemption. So again, 10 acres or 30 units. 30 units aligns more with our current substantial regional impact definition, as opposed to Act 250 threshold of 50 units potentially exempt. And then for commercial projects, there's another typo here I caught before the meeting. Greater than 50 trips, greater than 50 new peak hour trips. And we can, I suppose, identify how we would define that, but we'd use the AASHTO methodology, one of those national works, or greater than 10 acres impacted. Now, again, on these tier areas,
Christian,
yep.
I think it's not 10 acres impacted. I mean, historically, it's that the parcel is 10 acres or greater that the project is proposed on under Act 250.
Okay.
So you could have a 30-acre parcel and impact 9.5 acres, and it would still be jurisdictional.
Okay. I'm hearing that as a recommendation to improve this, so I've noted it. Right, so again, in these areas that will be eligible for tier 1, these are areas that this Board of Commissioners will have defined through their future land use map. So as we get into this process, I hope it's a little, it may be very smooth. They may already be in the areas where we want to support new housing, et cetera. But for now, we'll make sure that these projects come before the full Board of Commissioners. And then the final area, infrastructure investment. This is very similar to tonight's conversation. If there's new infrastructure, it's coming before the Board of Commissioners. In this case, I've written it for the Board of Commissioners. I got a comment on that. I'll provide. If it's new infrastructure, it defaults that staff would bring their letter for commission review. If it's the improvement or upsizing, similar to the Orange project, similar to the Montpelier project, it would be at staff's discretion. I think there is some gray area here where potentially a project could be the improvement of an existing infrastructure that's so large. Staff feel that there could likely be a regional impact and would want to bring it before commissioners for your input. In all cases, whether it comes for review or is just an administrative letter, it will be included in the packet for commission review at the next meeting. This meeting, I would have included the Montpelier and the Waitsfield project. But the Orange project, we didn't get until October, so it would have been in the next meetings. Or maybe we should we'll include all the ones that we have ready. I guess that'll be cleaner anyway. And now some changes I'm recommending based on our previous conversation. One, I had written it to the Board of Commissioners. I think this should be for the Board of Commissioners and Project Review Commission. And it should state something to the extent that projects that meet the following criteria will be brought to the Board of Commissioners or the Project Review Committee, whichever meeting comes first. This would allow basically our review period internally to drop down to more like 2 weeks instead of 1 month recurring. So with that, I'd love to take some comments on the specifics of the criteria, that may be some things I didn't catch based on our previous conversation.
The Catania,
Yeah, Christian, you have this setup, sort of what I was talking about before, where you're breaking out design planning grants to just do staff assessment independently, which I agree with, because all we're looking at is coming up with something that we can then bring to the full board or whoever to look at to see if it is compatible with the plan or not. And maybe we can structure these letters like would be the letter that goes to that would have went to Waitsfield to say that just that the design and the planning and the feasibility studies for this would not be inconsistent with the plan, but then let's come back with the full plan and we can structure our response to break it up as the grants as you have here, design planning grants, implementation grants. And if they want to give one grant for the whole thing, they're going to do that, but let's give our responses if they were 2 steps to it. And that way we'll have things to look at, and at least the people can start on the project as far as getting money to do the feasibility studies. But then let's bring them back and look and see what the feasibility studies have to offer us as far as making a decision as to whether the full project is in conformance with the regional plan. I'm done.
thank you, Lee. Is there further comment? John Braven.
I just want to commend Sam Lash on the changes she made to renewable energy aspects of the project review committee review to triggers. I think they make much more sense in terms of the implications of those types of projects. So thank you to Sam, and thank you to Christian and staff. They're just jamming for us and trying their very best. And I just want to really show that and say that I really appreciate all the work they're doing and recognize that they're working really hard to help us as best as they can. So thank you so much for that.
I also would like to thank this board for giving staff as much guideline as we possibly can. Is there further comment? Are we looking for an action here?
It's policy, so it could come back. I'd also recommended. So I feel like there's still some gray area, and that's why I'm giving pause. We get projects that are often conceptual in nature, and some of them will be able to give us more information. Some of them, we as staff can probably direct municipalities like, hey, I think you're probably at a scoping study, not design construction yet, based on our review process. But I'm wondering if we want to assign the structure we've given the project review committee with its review process, or if this kind of open-ended conversation, especially if there's more facts available, gives commissioners enough information to make a decision like we made tonight. I guess that's a question for the Board of Commissioners before I say these guidelines are hooked or not.
Any comment on Christian's quandary?
I got John's hand up.
Oh, okay, I didn't see it, John, sorry. Yes,
Well, and this is not a matter of distrust or disregard. I just like to have access, if only a link, maybe not in a package. For folks who feel they need more information, that stuff should be scanned in and made available to all of us. And, we got to remember there is supposed to be interested public in our process and our review, and maybe even the press on occasion, if there's any press left out there in this digital era. But it's just important that we have access to these records, these documents that are critical to our decision making. That's all.
thank you, John. Alice Peel?
Yeah, I agree with Christian. And I think he makes very good points of making sure that we haven't missed anything. I find that as I'm still more or less a newbie at this too, but often I can feel confused and need more clarification. So I think that's a good point that Christian makes about, before we act on this, making sure that we're all comfortable with it. And yeah, and I particularly want to single out 2 staff that have been extremely helpful to me and to the town of Waitsfield, which were Reuben McMartin, who did work as the program manager on the first high-level study for this active transportation project, and the grant they did get to do the high-level study. Reuben was ace in helping working for that project in Waitsfield, and also to Keith Cubbin. And the number of times I call him and go, Keith, help me. He's been really, really, we can't say enough of him. He's quite popular in Waitsfield. So.
Thank you, Alice. And I would also concur very honestly that in my dealings with the staff here, I will call as a representative of Washington or as chair and have a question and I get an answer.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate that greatly.
Yep.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to go and point out, I'm doing 2 meetings at the same time. And so I want to make sure that we can get to things if you need my vote, because I'll be going. So I just want to put that on the record to make sure that we get whatever we need voted on, because I'm also on my city council at the same time, and I'm going to have to go to present.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
I think I'm going to bring this back next month. I got some great input tonight. It'll be small tweaks, but I want to make sure it gets full board's review because it's I think big enough. And in the meantime, staff will continue to kind of follow the sense we have from our commission. So that means the only action item we have is the ratification and the ratification of the updated project review committee rules of process and the approval of the project review guidelines, which is the next item on the agenda.
I was going to say, because when we lose Mike, we lose quorum.
Right.
So I'll move to table that vote on the
Okay.
recommendations and guidelines for this meeting, and to a date certain, which would be next meeting.
Sure.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Janet seconds. Mike Miller, you had another comment or no?
No,
Okay,
my
I'm
hand
going
was still
down.
up. That's all.
Okay, that's it. If there's no further discussion on it, I think we beat that horse pretty well. I will now- Okay. Uh, oh, now we should call the vote. All those in favor of tabling will indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing no opposition, are there any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up, Christian.
All right, the next item, we're looking for two motions. One to ratify the updated project review committee rules of process. The project review committee reviewed those rules and adopted them in August 10th. At the time, they also made recommendations around the guidelines that they follow, and those we're looking for a motion to approve the project review guidelines. Sam's provided an excellent memo here for you, as well as the meeting materials with the highlighted updates based on those said comments for your review.
So I'll move that motion.
Is that for the rules of process and the guidelines?
So
Correct.
he's moving to ratify the updated project review committee rules of process and approve the project review guidelines was the motion I heard.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Robert seconded. Is there any further discussion? I think it was quite well delineated in the packet. And project review committee has done a good job on this. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All those in favor of accepting the project review committee rules of process and guidelines will indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you all.
Okay. We can try to make the motion regarding meeting minutes before Mike jumps off as well. Oh, wait, sorry, code of conduct and public participation policy.
Well, that's a possible action.
Yeah. Right, that's true, that's possible action. Good
Yeah,
call.
so
Sorry,
I think we can
jump right
just do
into it.
the discussion.
Okay,
On that, so on meeting minutes of 9/9/25. Rescind and amend previously adopted.
yes.
Explain, please.
Well, this is what happens when Nancy leaves us
Oh.
unattended. We had minutes and we were looking through for key motion. We all, the Board of Commissioners had made for an administrative policy. She couldn't locate it, and lo and behold, it hadn't been included in the minutes. So we went back and made the updates to the minutes. Nancy researched how do you change old minutes, and this is the policy, the process that came out of Robert's rules, which is motion 1, rescind the acceptance of the minutes from September 9th. Motion 2, amend the minutes as outlined on page 34 of your packet. And motion 3, move to accept the amended minutes.
I need that first motion to rescind minutes of 9/9.
I will move to combine the motions to rescind and amend and approve minutes as amended.
Very good, John. I need a second on that.
I'll second that.
Lots of people did. I didn't quite.
I got Royal Deleggy.
Okay, Royal did. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Any abstentions? Hearing none. Minutes are amended, rescinded, amended, and accepted.
And then we have last month's minutes as well.
Yep, next item is to accept the minutes from 10/14/25.
Already did. There
Oh, we
was-
did
it
both?
was all, it was all three combined.
Well, no, that was just the rescind, amend, accept, but we didn't
Oh.
accept the minutes from last month.
Okay, yeah, so I
That's
do need
correct.
one for accepting the meeting minutes of 10/14.
I'll move that.
Okay, John moves,
I'll second.
Alice seconded. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, no abstentions, hearing none, motion passes.
Now left on our agenda, we have, the code of conduct discussion. Staff reports and committee reports, and then executive session. Suzanne, our Armor, our attorney, is on the line as well. The code of conduct can be tabled, that's not a pressing issue. Staff reports, it would be probably good to accept those reports, and then getting into executive session. So do we want to talk, I guess, Mr. Chair, do you want to get into the code of conduct now, or?
I think we should get our attorney, we got a meter spinning. I'd like to hear
Yeah.
have our attorney get on.
Yeah, let's go into executive session then. Then when we come out of executive session, we can review the other items on the agenda. So I will need a motion to enter into executive session under 1 VSA, section 313A1.
Well, we're missing one of the motions on this. This is why I like to have memos. This is what happens. Let me pull up the exact motions. Probably easier to start over.
I can read from previous minutes.
If you have them available, that'd be perfect.
Per 1 VSA 313A1, premature general public knowledge of pending or probable civil litigation and of confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to CVRPC would clearly place the public body at a substantial disadvantage.
It's exactly what I would ask for.
So move.
Yeah. Doug makes that motion. I need a second.
Second.
Janet seconds. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, any abstentions? Hearing none, we are now in executive.
Nope, we got one more.
There's one more.
Oh, that's right.
Move to enter executive session to discuss potential or pending litigation and attorney-client communication related thereto. Included in the session will be Executive Director Christian Meyer and Attorney Suzanne Armour. Mr. Myers and Ms. Armour's attendance in executive session is appropriate because they have information that is needed by the board to consider the matter.
I need that motion.
I'll make the
So moved.
motion.
I'll
Lee
second
makes
Lee's
the
motion. John
John
Brabant seconds.
seconds. Is there any call to vote? All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, abstentions, hearing none, motion passes.
We are now in
We are
executive.
now in executive session.
Yeah, we'll stop there.
We just exited executive session and there is no action to be taken. Next up is code of conduct and public participation policy.
Yes. Get to the page of this agenda. I got lost. Those are minutes.
No, we have been jumping around a tad.
Minutes. Oh, I saw it earlier when I was looking through here. Well. If anyone finds where we are. Let me know.
Just first off, Mike Miller, thanks very much for hanging around for the action items. If you can stay further for this discussion, that'd be great. If you have to head into chambers for that, that'd be fine as well.
Well, they said they were gonna text me, so I keep an eye on things. I'll let you know when I get my notice,
Okay.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I found where we are in the packet.
Good.
So I'm looking at our memo on page 28. And the request is to form an ad hoc work group to draft a code of conduct for code of conduct and public participation policy. It's something other municipalities and public bodies have. We don't necessarily have one, and I think it would be just good to have that guidance. In policy for staff, for Board of Commissioners, and for public. As we've had more engaging meetings with partners.
I see Alice Peel.
Would this only be for for participation by the public? Or is this also for, do we have a code of conduct for how we behave? Okay,
This would cover that as well. It would be both.
Right.
It'd be a code of conduct and public participation, basically just a forum for our meetings and rule setting around our meetings and what the expectations are.
okay,
We have a lot of materials to draw from. I will be able to provide a lot of support to the group and guidance. League of Cities and Towns has templates. They might not be exactly what we want. And I would not anticipate the group would have to, it might be meeting, well, we'll see where we are, but 3 to 5 times to pull together our goals, and staff would be able to draft something to meet those goals. But I think it clearly should come from the board.
it's me again.
Yes,
Call me crazy, but I would volunteer for that ad hoc committee because
okay, crazy volunteers.
I just did write a code of conduct for a nonprofit organization here in Waitsfield, and it was to address an issue that we were having.
So I have one volunteer from Alice. Do I hear anybody else? Robert?
I'm not volunteering. I'm gonna move to form an ad hoc work group, because we can't have volunteers till we have work group.
You got a point there. Very good, Robert. I need a second on that.
I'll second.
John seconds. So let's get this motion on the floor and approved, and then we'll worry about volunteers. All those in favor of forming an ad hoc work group to draft a code of conduct and public participation policy indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, any abstentions? Hearing none, we will now form an ad hoc work group. Thank you. And I have Royal up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a former professor of ethics, I think I could have something to offer to this group.
Excellent.
That sounds fantastic.
I'll
So there's
still
two.
I'll still volunteer.
Yes, yes. Oh, okay, yeah, we'll
great.
accept your volunteer now.
I think you're all done. Alice just submits her code of conduct, Royal rubber stamps it, and we're done.
That may very well work that way. I really would like at least one more.
I'll volunteer to do it.
Lee
Yeah.
volunteers.
Right.
Are there any others?
So will I, Peter.
Okay, and Jerry D'Amico. I don't want to get it too cumbersome. 4. It would be better with let's see, are they gonna
That's
have to have quorum?
Working group, no.
No, okay, working group does not have, that's fine then. I was thinking
They do need quorum?
The state, they have to go by the same as other committees.
Okay.
So they are a working group? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
so in that case, I would like a 5th, only because with a 4, 3 is a quorum.
There's a quorum of 5 too.
Yeah, but 3 out of 5 is easier to make than 3 out of 4.
Don't make me think so late at night.
The chair will volunteer to be the 5th member. I got nothing else to do.
Thank you, Peter. You rock.
Yeah. All righty, so we have the ad hoc committee. Probably should schedule the first meeting.
we will schedule that. We'll do it outside of the
Okay.
meeting. We'll use
That
Doodle.
sounds good. That sounds good. What's next? There's still 1 or 2 more things.
Just reports.
Reports, okay?
So. after minutes. All right. I think something that's nothing necessarily out of the committee reports themselves. Always good to look at what the project review committees do and regional plan committee keeps chugging along, knocking off chapters. Going to meet twice this month to go through to keep their pace. Municipal plan review. We got stuff on the horizon there. Cabot's got a hearing next Monday on their plan. And then that wouldn't, then at the following Board of Commissioners meeting, they'll bring their recommendation forward. And any comments from that hearing, which would be, what, 2 weeks?
December 8th, yeah.
Yeah, so full 2 weeks to digest that. Projects coming out of the QUISP and the Water Basin or Basin Water Quality Council, the BWIC, the Winooski BWIC, those continue to grow. VAPTA's beginning to think about, you know, what are their policy goals, if any, around this year's legislative session, and what are the new how do the new requirements, how do we implement the requirements of existing legislature? Continues to be both a collaboration at the director level, but also staff who were supposed to participate in a statewide meeting on Friday, but that got canceled and moved into early December. Finally, I think the other one I'd like to point out, kind of hidden in there, well, two that are kind of hidden in there. The Community Investment Board. I'm the VAPTA representative to that group. And we are beginning to review the future land use maps based on that, the purview of that committee, or that board, sorry. It's an interesting process, but it seems there's still a lot to do in sort of figuring out what statute has asked us to weigh in on. We've looked at the Rutland Regional Plan, which has been the first one to come down the pipe, and the clear issue that came up was making sure we're focusing on smart growth and making sure that these areas meet the goals and historic goals of the designation program. Secret and Nature Conservancy presentation. That's right. The Clean Water Advisory Committee is having a big presentation on November 13th. Some of the same presenters as we're at our Board of Commissioners meeting, but additional guests as well. John put that in the chat. The other thing that's progressing and will have impact certainly on the citizens of Central Vermont is the transition of a transit service from Green Mountain Transit to Tri-Valley Transit. This just to remind everyone, this aligns all the rural transit districts with rural regions and the urban transit district with the urban area of Vermont, which is only Chittenden County. So far, the transition conversations are going very well, very productive, very good communication. I'm optimistic that this transition can go as well as you could hope. I've only been part of one of these in the past and it did not go well, so I'm feeling much better about this one. Looking at staff reports, a lot going on in a lot of towns. I mentioned briefly in passing that Cabot has its municipal plan review coming up. I'm trying to think what the other municipalities are, but there's two others coming down the line right away too. I think East Montpelier is one of them. And Berlin, that sounds right, is the other one that we should expect. Any questions about the reports? The other thing I'll just point out before I close on my narrative is the second to last section, letters of compatibility. This was added. Normally I put a list of the letters staff might have written during that month, and then stapled directly behind the report would have been all those letters. But because those letters were provided as part of the packet, I did not include them as part of the reports.
Motion to accept the reports.
Need a second?
John
Sorry,
Brave,
Jason.
second.
I tried Doug first, but that's fine.
Okay, whatever.
All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no opposition, abstentions, hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Christian. What's left, roundtable?
Roundtable.
Yeah.
So-
Only
so-
thing on roundtable I have is, don't forget, on the 13th, we have the River Corridor meeting here. It's also by Zoom. I think everybody got the packet on that.
Yeah.
To do it. And it's gonna be a good meeting. John Braybank.
I had requested earlier in the meeting, beginning of the meeting, before we had a quorum, that if Christian could just provide a very brief overview of his understanding of where we're at in terms of the implications of federal funding cuts, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Which might result in impacts to grants and by extension to funding staff positions.
Yep. So the good news is we haven't been hit broadly across our programs. The one area we have been hit is the one area you might be least expecting it. And until you look at the federal environment, but that is in our emergency management planning. We generally have about half of a full-time equivalent position funded with emergency management planning grant through VEM. The grant has not been canceled, however, it has not been signed either. So because Vermont Emergency Management VEM has not been funded, they are unable to then reciprocate and sign their agreements with us. This has not stopped our emergency management planning. Emergency management is a core element of our work, and we are able to fund that work through our larger agreement with the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. But certainly, given all the work we're doing in emergency management right now, that one kind of hurts a bit. Transportation is consistent.
How much funding are implicated there, Christian?
50,000, roughly, a little less than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Transportation, you may have heard about cuts at VTrans, so we're watching that very closely. At this point, we have heard no rumors, no suggestion that those kinds of funding cuts will extend into the planning funding, state development and planning funding, which comes directly from the federal government to VTrans, which they then use to fund the transportation improvement or transportation planning initiative. ACCD is our biggest funding source, and that we're watching closely, more not from direct impacts because it's state funding, but indirect funding. I think we all would agree that if hard decisions have to be made between health programs at the state level and regional planning, it's going to be a difficult decision for legislators to have to consider. That said, the legislature has continued to put additional responsibilities on the regional planning commissions and rely on us as both a service provider and an implementer at the regional scale. Our biggest, the other area where right now it's state money, it's also one of our biggest programs, mostly passed through, is the Clean Water Service Provider, the QUISP. Most of that money is passed through to projects. It has not been spent at the volume that it is coming in, mainly because we are setting up the program. I would say, if based on where we are now and the speed at which projects are going out the door, we're kind of at about the right place. However, that's a project that might be at risk also as it's a state funded program. Now, it is funded in no small part to meet a regulatory need of the poor water quality in the Champlain Valley or in the Champlain Basin, but all the same, it's one area where we're looking at for possible risk.
Just a second, Christian, Mike Miller, do you have to leave us now?
Nope. Nope, I've got an announcement whenever that's all done. It's separate from what.
Okay,
Okay.
finish up, Christian,
Yep.
and then.
Real quick, our other big funding program, our newest one is our EPA brownfield funding, and so far we don't believe there's any risk to that funding source. That's all federal and it's all direct. So that's comforting and it's good news, and it's somewhat surprising, as it was the first one I thought would be on the chopping block, but it seems to be also very resilient.
Did we
Do
lose?
you guys still
Christian?
hear me? We just lost Houston.
No, they might hear me through this.
Christian, plug in your laptop.
Do you guys hear me? What's that
Yes.
for?
There you are.
Oh, you ran out of battery?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're back, Christian.
Mm.
Hmm.
But we can't hear you.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Nancy's computer died. She was running the meeting. Luckily, I was in as a co-host. So long story short, we're also watching, our funding's in a good position. Our reserve is in a good position. I think even if we decided to have a longer government shutdown, our organization is a place where we can really, certainly weather a short-term storm and support our staff, and maintain the services we're providing our municipalities. The state level, I haven't heard anything about other funding programs. I would expect a program like the one we discussed tonight, the TA program, which is all about bike and ped. That might be one we don't see get renewed in the transportation bill, i.e. the BIL, i.e. the IJAI, anyway. We may see some changes as they draft their new transportation bill.
Christian, are you able to put that up there for?
No. Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. So sorry, John, that was a very long-winded way of answering that question. I don't know if you have any more direct questions.
That was good. I just wanted to say, if an emergency arises, please do schedule an emergency meeting of this commission to the extent you need our approval for any emergency funding or pursuit of emergency funding. That's it. Thank you, Christian.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Mike Miller?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, for the city of Montpelier, I just came back last week from the Northern New England chapter of the American Planners Association. So what we call NECAPA conference, where the Montpelier City Plan also won. So we'd already won Vermont Plan of the Year, and now we are won the NECAPA Plan of the Year for Northern New England. So just wanted to let everybody know that the plan has moved on there, and we're actually going to work on a nomination to the national APA to see how our plan fares on a national stage. So,
Good
so
news.
not just good for me. This isn't all this. This is about everybody who contributed and participated. It's been a big process from planning commission and city council and the public and everybody who added to this. It's been a good product, I think, and we're kind of seeing that other people think so as well.
Very good. Any other items of interest for the roundtable? If not, where's my man?
I think he tuned off a little early.
Oh, he tuned off. That's too bad. In that case,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll accept the motion to adjourn from anybody.
And I'll second Bob's motion.
John Brabant seconds. All in favor is indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everyone. Thank you, staff,
you
for
all.
working late.
Yeah.
That's not bad. It's usually, oh wait, end meeting for all.
Yep.
I have to end. Oh, I wonder if our recording continued.